Forrest Henley, that was tried 4 times for first-degree murder here. It's a historic case, and there was a protective order used in that case. I was involved in the case of the Satanic Angels down in Livingston County, and my client had a protective order in that case, and of course this one is of recent vintage, where I've done it with prosecutors in the past, so that there's no mischief afoot, and that if you're truth hunting, truth seeking, then you can have my client at your disposal as long as you want to, but let's not try and fill in a case where he's waiving his constitutional rights and then generate evidence and then say, thank you for the evidence, sir, we got you. What a stupid, kind of counsel.
I'd like to thank world-renowned criminal defense attorney and my grandfather, Mr. Terrance Patrick Sheehan, for coming in today and having a talk with us.
You're most welcome. It's always a pleasure. Mr. Couling, my grandson. So it's always a pleasure. And being 82 years old, I've been looking forward to this interview.
When did you first begin being interested in law?
I went to UAD to finish up on the 6 Mile Road to finish up my teaching certificate. And I ran into some very good teachers. Not one of them was a priest.
Were the first cases you took mostly court appointed, or did you have private cases?
I would say they're mostly court appointed because they were the juicy ones. They were the serious, sometimes murder cases and whatever, the homicides, murder.
Would you be able to give us a brief compilation of some of your biggest cases?
Brief? Like what? It couldn't be that brief, but I'll make it, you might as well start at the top. Forrest Henley had some colorful aspects. Low IQ gentleman who was in the grade school when he was 13 or 14. He was charged with first-degree murder. I got court appointed. I might have been 300 pounds. I probably had the persona of somebody who was acclimated to too much alcohol or something like that. God forbid if it's a murder trial and they get me as the candidate to defend him. But it didn't stop me from having fun after the court was over with. It was a terrible set of facts because the killer had shot the face off of the last person that was held up out of 5 people, and his face was blown off. I knew that he wasn't Einstein, and it wasn't F. Lee Bailey like what they saw on TV. It was 300 pounds of Stroh's Incorporated, and that was me, or something close to it. My habits were beer and having a good time. But everything probably was yelling at me internally not to put that guy on the witness stand because I majored in psych and I knew he was retarded. He had 2 felony convictions, first-degree murder, blowing off a face. He knew he didn't want to go to prison for natural life. That much. He had street smarts a lot more than he did academically. A new case, court-appointed, was more money too. I'm being brutally frank with you. I was married and my wife was forever my hawk and scholar from the University of Michigan. He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "When did it get there? The print that you said that's there?" And and I'm saying to myself, the Ace High Street, the home run? Are you kidding me? What do you mean? I said, I heard that if a print is put there and there's been no snowfall since the beginning of the time, it's going to be as it was when it went there, and it hasn't been interfered with whatsoever, so it's billions of years old and it's preserved. Is that right? He said, "That's right." I said, "So when did it get there? When was it there?" Even if you were correct on your science that it was his. And he was stymied. I said, he doesn't know. They knew I was going to tell the jury that this is, Henley could have been there 3 days or any. Are they going to bring the house cleaning ladies and are they going to go into the well where you put a thumbprint? I hope you got your witnesses, because we're not going to agree to anything other than the truth. But it ended up that we got a hung jury again in Muskegon, and they never dreamt it, because there had never been in like 75 or 100 years, never a hung jury. And it was headlines, you know, first hung jury in 100 years or something. To me, it was like an ace card. However you got it, with a bad set of facts, you must be great. So anyhow, it was they brought back a not guilty verdict, and you've seen, or we can show you, or your gallery. There's a picture of Henley found not guilty after 4 trials, and it was a historic case and a big event. Strictness is something I never had obedience towards, whether it was my dad or the teachers or anybody else. It was just a code that was a pain in the neck wherever I ran into it. I had my way, and which was strange to a lot of people. I used it as like a litmus test to see how they were reacting to my personality, and I'm being straightforward with you as a street fighter.
Being a well-known criminal defense attorney in Flint, Grand Blanc, what advice might you have for the younger generation of attorneys, people involved with legal services in America?
I would say be receptive to knowledge, but very careful when you start defining it, because oftentimes people present you with information that's miles short of knowledge. It's something they collected within the course of their lives, and I don't want to even comment about their lives. Whatever they said was black, I said it was pink, and a little, I don't know, I did got other colors, yellow and whatever. The color itself is a very confusing, troublesome scientific thing, an art itself. It's not just white and black, it's a constitution of many things, like about 7 colors. Did you know that? They said, well, what do you mean? I meant what I said. It's not just black and white. It's by instruction, scientifically, it's got more than 1 color. Well, what are they? So that's what I mean. You're asking me what are they? I'm not sure I know, but I'll guarantee you I'm correct in what I'm telling you, and you don't know. So get off the witness stand and give us the next guy at bat. The more anybody was cocky, I would key in on that and wanted to say, well, why it's cocky, and if they got a big ego, that's a flaw. That's bad if you got everything's cocky and good, you know. So that guy we're going to make hay off of. We can have, if we can get him on the witness stand, we can score. I love the idea of sowing a seed that had a lot of quagmires and pits and so forth, whether it was my fault or something that was beneficial in the evidence to create reasonable doubt. That was for me. I was going to dwell on it, see.